Hey there, math students, and welcome to online class. I was at school today, saw a couple of you, and you picked up your math books. The math books look something like this. This is my first and what'll probably be a bunch of clunky videos, but I'll try and make them better as I go. And I'd encourage you to still keep a math notebook, and I'll try and keep these videos to about 5 minutes or less if I can. Just a quick hit on if I was still in class staying in front of the whiteboard, it'd be 10 minutes, but hey, I'm doing this from home and I know everybody doesn't have a whole lot of time to watch YouTube videos all the time. And where we're at, well, we're in Unit 6 right now. We're in Unit 6, Lesson 1. I'm going to spend a little bit of time also going through some of the stuff that we've seen up through Unit 6 so far, but pretty much everything that we've been seeing so far has been designed to get us to algebraic expressions. So if you check out an expression, everything in math up through 5th grade, there's a lot of ideas that you say, okay, 1 plus 2 equals, and there's a blank, and everybody in this class obviously knows 1 plus 2 equals 3. But now that we're getting into a little bit of algebra, we're going to introduce the idea of variables. And variables just simply take the place of the blank. And when we work with variables, it's a little bit more at first, not about getting the right answer. I know that sounds a little strange in math, like, hey, I need the right answer. But in this case, our goal is to work the both sides of the equation. So if you have, for example, like this, 1 plus x equals 3. Again, every single student, if I was doing this in class, would jump up and say, hey, that's pretty easy. I know that that x right there is going to represent a 2. That's true. But our goal is to work both sides of this equation. Equations have been likened a lot of times to a seesaw. And if you have a seesaw, we've all played on seesaws at one point or another. You know, if you have the same weight, the same distance from this little part in the middle right here called the fulcrum, you've got it in balance. But the second you add something over here, you've got to add the same thing over there, or it goes out of balance. In algebra, that equal sign is our fulcrum. That's the thing that balances both sides of this equation. For this to be true, we've got to make sure that everything on this side is the same value as everything on this side. The second you do something over here, you do the same thing on the other side. It's a pretty easy concept, which is kind of nice. So really, in algebra, we're essentially still using all the things you already know. There's nothing new about it. We're using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Years ago as a carpenter, and if you think about a carpenter, if you've ever seen a carpenter at work, they often have on them a belt full of tools. There you go. And the tool belt, in this case, you know, it might have a hammer, a wrench, a screwdriver, whatever, and a measuring tool. You see, you always go to work with the same 4 tools. In algebra, these are your 4 tools. This is it. This is what you have to work with to get that variable, that x by itself. And the last little thing I just want to review today, you've heard all your math teachers talk about, whenever you've had a math teacher, they've likely said, show your work, show your work. That's very, very true in algebra. I know that every single student in the class would jump up and down and say, hey, that's easy, that's a 2. In algebra, it's going to sound strange. Obviously, eventually, we want to get the right answers, but it's more about the process. So in this case right here, 1 plus x equals 3. Our goal is to get that x alone. We want to get that x by itself. The x just represents something. It could be a y or a z. In algebra, traditionally, the letter x is used very often, but it could be any letter, really. We just want to get that x by itself. And in this case, our x is hanging out with a positive 1. And we don't generally write the positives when it's just a whole number 1. But in this case, I'm writing it just to make the point. If we want to get this x by itself, well, if I subtract 1 from this side of my fulcrum, if I take one thing away from one side of my seesaw, to keep it in balance, to make this a true statement, to make this truly an equation, I'm emphasizing the equation, the equal part. If I do it to this side of the equation, I've got to do the exact same thing to this side of the equation as well. And if you check out 3 minus 1, I say, hey, well, x is now equal to 2. I haven't really changed anything. All I've done is use one of my tools from my carpenter belt here, one of my 4 tools. I've now got the X by itself on one side of the equal side. That was our goal. It's really like a game. Yeah, a lot of students lately at school have been playing with Rubik's Cubes all the time. And when you play with the Rubik's Cubes, you know, you're flipping around, you're spinning it. And had some students try and show me how to do it a little while ago. Kind of getting the concept, but I gotta say I'm a slow learner on these things. It's really the same thing. You're just kind of flipping, spinning, and turning. Only in our case, we're just using these 4 operations. So we'll be doing a little bit more on this. Our homework tonight, you know, I use HW symbol for homework, is 6-1. That's the unit always, and that's the lesson. And I'll post the answers to the first part of the unit 6 lesson 1 on the website, and I'll get the rest of it up there as soon as I can. Hey, I miss you guys. Hope we can hook up soon and see each other in person. I saw a couple people today, and this is my first clunky video, but hope it is helpful on where we're going with this, what we're going to be doing with Algebra in Unit 6. Have a great day, everybody, and get outside, go for a walk, and enjoy some fresh air. Bye-bye.